Okay, Jay, how you doing? All right, I've got your work right here. And I was just reading through your writing, and there's a couple of things I just want to address. I love it when students give this kind of detailed written summary of their experience with the assignment. I think it's really important for students to be able to express themselves in terms of communicating their intent as well as their methodology behind any assignment. So this is fantastic. Um, Okay, this is a little bit unrelated, but I noticed in your typography, I noticed you're leaving two spaces behind your periods. That's left over from typewriter days. So my recommendation is just get in the habit before you start getting involved in typography as one of your design classes, get in the habit of only one space. After paragraphs, after periods, I should say. I know that's unrelated, but here I am. I always look at typography, so I just thought I would mention that as a best practice for you as we move forward. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of things I wanted to address. You mentioned your target market is families, and this is really the only thing that I question here, and let me describe why. As far as your ad itself goes, you're showing outstanding proficiency in all of the requirements here, all of the tools and techniques needed to assemble this ad. And I think the ad overall is pretty good. Based on this page size, so I want you to check your size, your page size. The ad is 8.5 by 11, right? This, for some reason, doesn't look like it's quite that dimension. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying be sure by checking your ad. I think mechanically it's a good page. It is. It's working out pretty well. There's some things we can do to this page to really make it an improvement. And one of the things I want to mention is the masked image. Now, I want to tie that into your comment about that this is a family. Okay. Works a lot. Portal Paradise is a special pack for someone to recognize as maybe a disconnect and decompress. I get all that. I get all that. It shows a photo of the beach and view. Accepts a bottle of wine, open the space. Okay, this is my only issue. Okay, and it's just something that might come into play later on down the line when this piece is presented in your student portfolio, if it indeed is included in your student portfolio. So a lot of times you want to take a look at students' work, and a lot of times hiring professionals and portfolio reviewers look at student work and say, with the intent of this, we're designers, we're expected to do some research before every one of our design pieces. And through research, we would notice that things like it could be unethical in many circles to include a wine bottle in an ad that is connected, I mean, is directed towards families. Do you see what I'm saying? So right now you have free spa treatment and then free family. And here's that word family. You're using family. So there's a lot of folks here that would out there that would say, it's just plain unethical to include a wine bottle in a magazine ad and to feature wine in a promotion that includes kids. Okay, and that's all I want to say. It's up to you. If you want to leave it, that's fine. If you want to change it, that's fine too. I'm not going to censor your work, but I just want you to be aware of that. Okay, there's another problem with the masked image. And that's what this negative space right there. So basically what's happening is you're creating this negative space. And anytime that we use objects and create different shapes, as a result of using those objects, you really want to be aware of that shape, okay? And this shape to me is not suitable for text or logo. And it looks like it's forced in there, and it looks like it doesn't have any interaction with the rest of the ad, and there's a disconnect there. And that to me is the biggest problem with this masked image. So let me tell you what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this. Now, if you want to include the wine bottle or a different masked image, that's great. Your masking is great. I'm not concerned at all about you masking out another image. I mean, your masking is great, so that's not an issue, right? I'm suggesting you might consider a different masked image for the above reasons that I've mentioned thus far. As far as the page mechanics go, there are some things we can do to improve this ad. And let me just give you a rundown here and just assume that I'm just going to assume that this image is going to be replaced. Okay, so portal to paradise, disconnected, decompress. That's a pretty good relationship right here. I think that the subhead is a little bit small in relation to the sub and to the headline. My recommendation is to increase the size of the subhead just a little bit. Get that tucked in over here and get that left aligned. Now you don't have to include, well, I'll talk about the logo in a second. Let's establish a good left margin. And let's say we'll establish that margin right there where that D starts. Okay, so use that for your left margin. And let me just do something here really quickly. I just want to grab my handy dandy straight edge. And I want to show you what I mean. So once you establish that left margin right there, all of your type will align with that left margin all the way down, except the logo. Don't worry about that. And of course, we're going to move that type there. So you establish that left margin. So we have headline, subhead, increase the size of the subhead, move it down a little bit. So that whole configuration starts right about here or so. Okay, then come down just a little bit more. Right now, this space between headline and body copy, subhead and body copy is just too great. It assumes there's not a relationship here. Remember proximity in design. The closer things are together, the more related they seem to be. That's how we perceive things. So right now we're perceiving this not to have much to do with this, which is not true, as we know. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this down and move this up. Start this right about here. All right. This could be problematic. This could be a problematic image in terms of type because of the texture here. It might be a little bit difficult to place type over that. And that's something you might have to work out. You may even consider changing that background image. It's up to you. If you can work type in, that's great. You could even move the headline down a little bit and get really, really little more bold here, move this down, start the type right about here, a little bit lower. But see what you can do with that. If the type doesn't work out, maybe consider a different background image. But what I'm getting at is this, is we want this. We want headline, subhead, body copy, okay? Then we want the contact information to fit down here. Right now, I don't want to tuck it in there. I don't want to tuck anything in there. I just think that's too unusual. But what we're after is this configuration, headline, subhead, paragraph of body copy. We want the logo over here on the right. We want the contact information over here on the left, and then the masked image down around the bottom of the composition somewhere. You can take a look at the examples in the course announcements and get some ideas for placement there. Also, if for some reason you don't feel like the address is working down here, you can move the address up to the top and span the top of the composition with the address. And you can, again, take a look at some examples in the course announcements for examples of how to do that. But that's really my basic recommendation is just to fit that all together. Kind of condense the type a little bit, break things down a little bit, redistribute some visual weight. By the way, the reason I recommend the logo in the lower right-hand corner is because that's an exit. That's an exit point. I mean, we typically enter compositions in the upper left and we exit in the lower left. It's my belief that we can reinforce branding by placing the logo in the left lower right-hand corner, because that's where the viewer is going to exit the page anyways. We might as well reinforce the branding on their way out, right? Okay, I think I've given you enough to think about. It's a great start. Good job showing excellent proficiencies. Let me know if you have any questions at all. I'll be glad to make any further recommendations or clarify anything that I have recommended thus far. All right, fantastic, Jay. Thank you very much.